Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Sheila Johnson, and you are watching Simply Sheila. I appreciate you tuning in, and it would bless me if you would leave your comments, and if you would like the video, and if you would subscribe. That would be great. During the process of doing this video, if you have questions, type them in the comments and I'll do the very best that I can to come back and answer them. If you have comments, encouraging words, I appreciate those too. In my previous videos, I did talk about the loss of losing two of my daughters. And so the purpose of these videos is to encourage you, to help you to regain strength if you have lost a loved one, and more specifically a child. And so if you continue to tune in to the videos, and if you miss some, you can go back and look at those other ones. I will continue on and give some more tips. Today we're going to be dealing with how to deal with pain with losing of the loved one. And so I do want to recap just a little bit of my testimony. So in 2007, we lost two daughters by way of car accident. One was 21 and one was 14. And at the time of this recording this video, it is the year 2021. And so it has been 14 years since the loss of my daughters. But since then, I have regained strength. I have been able to continue on with life, and I have been able to endure the things that come along with grief. And because I know what it feels like firsthand to lose a child or children, I want to be able to come back and encourage you and to share some tips with you that will be able to help you. And we know that in life, every single one of us at some point in our life, we have experienced some pain in life. So looking at the definition of pain, we see that it is mental or emotional distress or is suffering. But the truth of the matter is pain hurts. The loss of a child is a different kind of pain. In life, we experience different kinds of pain. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're trying to walk through the bathroom and you bump your toe, well, that's a little pain. Someone pulls your hair, there's a little pain there. You're walking, you slip and you fall, there's a little pain there. But the loss of a child is a different kind of pain. While you bump your toe, the throbbing of the pain, it will eventually go away. But when you're dealing with the loss of a child, it's not that necessarily the pain goes away. You just learn how to live life through the loss of your loved one. So the loss of a child brings about a different kind of a pain. And depending upon how the child passed, that also has an impact on the parent. For an example, if the child was older in age, and let's say maybe they had cancer, and they battled with it for a while, and they ended up passing because of the cancer. But that has a different impact on the parent. We're not neglecting the pain because the pain is still there. It's just the way that the child passed has a different impact on the parent. If the child committed suicide, that has an impact on the parent. And it brings about different questions into the parent mind, such as, why didn't I see the signs? What could I have done? It brings about a different type of pain and emotional questions that come about to a parent. If the child was murdered, if the child was in a domestic violence situation and that ended up causing the child to lose their life, Well, the impact on the parent is a little different. As we said, in our case, neither one of those apply to us. In our case, our children passed by way of car accident. And as we shared in a previous video, they were driving and they tried to pass a truck only to collide with another truck. While we can look at it and see the devastation of it, it still brings about a pain in my heart. There are some children that have passed from drunk drivers hitting them. So depending upon how the child passed, it will determine how it impacts the parent. And once again, we're not neglecting the pain. We're just showing you how the way the child passed has an impact on the parent and some of the things that they may have to do to overcome or to heal from the loss of a child. When we're talking about pain and the loss of a child, it is important to understand that each individual feels that pain differently. Me as a mother, I felt the pain of my two daughters. The words just can't describe it. But my husband, their father, he felt it different than I did. Their siblings, especially the older ones, twin, they felt it differently. The classmates, as I told you, my oldest daughter was in Georgia going to college. Her classmates, they felt it different than I did. My younger daughter, which was 14 and in high school, her classmates felt it, but they felt it differently. Our church family, who had established relationships with them, it impacted them in a different way. And while all of these other individuals felt the pain of losing our daughters, it impacted me as a mother. As I said, words are just really hard to describe. You know, the mother goes through the process of carrying that child for 9 months. And she feels that child moving around in her stomach. And then that joy comes when that child is here on the earth. And as time goes on, that parent bonds with that child and a relationship is established. And so when they're taken away, there is an intensity of pain that goes through the heart. And like I said, for us, it has been 14 years. And my purpose for these videos is to encourage you, to strengthen you so that you can be able to regain some strength. And I must let you know that that pain, it has to be dealt with. Because if you don't deal with the pain, it will manifest itself in other ways. It will begin to rot or contaminate the heart, if you would. As we told you in previous videos, it can cause one to go into a deep, dark place. A dark place of depression or sadness because the pain has not been dealt with. So you ask the question, how do you deal with the pain? And I'm glad that you asked that question, because it is vitally important that you deal with it. I do want to encourage you not to mask it. Don't cover it up. be real with yourself and know that your heart is hurting, that your heart is heavy with the loss of your child or your children. Oftentimes when we experience pain, let's go back with the bump of the toe, we hold it until that pain is gone. Someone pulled our hair, we fall. Well, it's a little easy to get over that pain. But when you're talking about the pain of losing a child, it's not something that you get over so quickly. You can't grab it and hold it until it stops. You can't tell somebody to stop pulling your hair. And so oftentimes, or sometimes, a person will try to cover up the pain. And they will do this by some type of substance or food or others. They will get involved in different relationships, if you would, because they're trying to cover up the pain. But here's the thing. So you sit down and you drink a glass of whatever type of alcohol, or you indulge in some type of drug. Well, while the high is there, you're not necessarily feeling the pain because the high is taking over. Or while you're eating that chocolate cake or those barbecue ribs, while you're eating, the mind is getting this dopamine, this happy feeling, and you're feeling like everything is going to be okay. But the thing is, when the alcohol goes away, when the high comes down, when you finish eating the food and you settle down, the reality of what has occurred is still there. The pain is still there. So what happens? You have to go back and get another glass of something. You have to go back and grab another type of substance. You have to go back and grab food or get into another relationship. Well, this again is masking the pain. It's covering up. You have to deal with the pain. As we talked about in previous videos, it is hard to accept the fact that our loved one is gone. It is hard. But we do have to accept the fact that they are gone. And when we accept that fact and we're real with ourselves, then allow yourself to feel that hurt. Don't mask it. Don't cover it up. For me, when we first received the news, as I told you, I'm a believer in God, and God had given me great strength. And we had the services, and God had given me strength there. But there came a day when reality hit. It set in that my daughters are not here. You want to pick up the phone and call. You want to go to the room and give them a hug. But they're not here. So when the reality of it hit me, I allowed myself to feel that hurt, to feel that pain. And when I say I allow myself, I did not mask it. I did not cover it up. I allowed myself to feel that pain, to feel that hurt. And then I had to do something healthy with that hurt or with that pain. When we're in pain on the natural side, we tend to go to the doctor. And the doctor prescribes medication that will take away the pain. But they're not prescribing this medication for an individual to be on it for a lifetime. They're giving them something that will help them to endure until whatever it is gets healed. So again, for me, I felt that hurt. I felt that pain. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I verbally expressed that hurt. I verbally expressed those emotions. And I verbally expressed those questions and those concerns that I had. And some of the questions that I had is because they were so young. And my question was, why did they have to go away so young? They still had their whole life in front of them. I had to express those questions. I had to express those emotions. I understand that I will not, or I may not ever get an answer to the questions. But I do understand that I have to be healed. I have to be whole, and I have to continue on. Because if my daughters were here, that's what they would want. So how do you deal with the pain? You don't mask it. You don't cover it up. You feel that hurt, and you allow yourself to cry and vent out those emotions. I would also suggest to you to make sure that you have a strong support system. And again, for me, I'm a believer in God. And a strong support system for me is individuals praying for me, praying that the Lord will comfort my heart, that the Lord will strengthen me, that He would help me to go through this grieving process. You may have to get counseling, but it is vitally important that you have a strong support system that is looking over you, that is watching you, that is helping you through this process. You also want to be able to give yourself time. I look at the loss of a child or the loss of a loved one similar to losing a limb. When you lose a leg or an arm, in the beginning, the intensity of the pain is so great. It brings about all kinds of emotions. It brings about all kinds of things because you can begin to see that your life is not going to be like it used to be. So in the beginning, there is an intensity of pain. And just like losing a limb, the reality of losing a child or a loved one is your life has been changed forever. What used to be normal, it's no longer normal. And that takes time to accept the fact that my loved one is not here, and I have to learn to live life without them. So after losing a limb, there is a healing process. And this is what you need after you lose a loved one, especially a child, and especially if they were young. You need that time to heal. I would encourage you to give yourself that time, but then get on back up and continue on with life. I know for my husband, because I'm a housewife, which is a beautiful thing because it allowed me the privilege to raise my children and to see them do different things first. But my husband, who is the provider, when we had this loss in our family, it impacted him greatly. I mean, words cannot describe. Now, I'm only speaking from what I seen. He, as the male, the father, the husband, would have to share how it impacted him. But for me, looking at him, I had never, ever, in all of our years, seen a pain in his eyes like I had seen then. But my children, that pain was great for them. Two of my children, my two sons, were still in school. And oftentimes they would call me to come and get them from school, because the children at school would ask them a lot of questions. What happened? And I believe that I had told you in a previous video that if you know someone that has lost a loved one, don't ask them that question. Wait until they tell you. But for my sons, the children at school would ask them, and it was so devastating for them. They could not tell what had transpired. And so they would call me, and I would have to go and pick them up from school because of the intensity of the pain. My daughter, which was my oldest daughter, twin, for her, it impacted her differently than it did all of us, because it was her twin. That was like her best friend. So the pain that we each experienced, we experienced it differently. My church family, I was able to look at them and see the pain that they were going through. Even the classmates, looking at them and them sharing different things with me of how my daughters impacted their life. But it was very painful for them. And so you have to give yourself the time to heal. And as you heal, just like I said, it's similar to losing a limb. You now have to learn how to live again. And I'm not going to tell you it's an easy thing. It's a challenge. You have to learn how to live without your loved one there. You get ready to pick up the phone to call them, and you remember, they're not here. Remember I said it's similar to losing a limb. You lost a leg and you get ready to get up, only to realize, I only have one leg. I don't have both of them. So it takes time, and you have to give yourself time. I'm going to close here. Once again, I appreciate you joining me in this journey as I share my testimony of how I have regained strength, how I have learned to continue on with life after the loss of my two daughters. And we'll come back and I'll do some more videos, and I'll give you some more tips and suggestions on how to deal with losing a loved one, how to grieve properly. I do want to reiterate to you though, don't mask your pain. Do not, I repeat, do not cover it up. Feel that hurt. Allow yourself to feel that pain and get those tears out. Vocalize those emotions. Vocalize how you're feeling. Get counseling if you need to. Make sure that you have a strong support system. Somebody that can help you through this. And give yourself the time to heal. And if you're married, remember, your spouse is grieving or hurting just like you are. Do not allow this situation, while it is a traumatic situation, do not allow this situation to cause your marriage to go this way. Instead, allow this traumatic situation, this crisis, to draw the two of you closer. It will strengthen your marriage. It will help the both of you. Because I found that days when I was hurting, my husband had strength and he was able to strengthen me. And days when he was overwhelmed, I was able to strengthen him. And our marriage, it got stronger because we weathered the storm together. We didn't lash out at each other. We didn't begin to do the blame game and say, if you hadn't did this or if you hadn't did that. We didn't do that. We dealt with it together. My children, we dealt with it together. Thank you once again for joining. I am Sheila Johnson, and you have been watching Simply Johnson, or Simply Sheila. And we have been dealing with grieving the loss of a child. And today we've dealt with just a little bit of how to deal with the pain. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I will do the very best that I can to answer them. If you have encouraging words or comments, by all means, leave them too. For your encouraging words strengthen me as I continue on in this journey. We're living in a time where police brutality is at an all-time high. And many parents are losing children. And if you're a parent and you have lost a child recently, doesn't matter how you lost them, they were your child. I'm praying for you. I don't have to know your name. I don't have to know the details of the situation. But I'm praying for you. I'm praying that you will get strength and that you will move forward and that you will be able to continue on in life. Thank you once again for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.